Karakoram Highway. The 500-mile road is an important link between China's Kashgar city and the Pakistani capital of Islamabad. It runs through some of the most rugged and consequently inaccessible parts of Asia, and at an elevation of 15,400 feet, it's the highest paved road in the world. Its risky nature was apparent even before construction was completed, claiming the lives of over 1,000 workers, 200 Chinese and over 800 Pakistanis. Mudslides and rockfalls were some of the biggest causes, and even today they're a constant threat to road users. A lot of drivers also suffer from altitude sickness, which combined with a lack of barriers makes it very likely to plunge to your death into the valley below. There are plans to expand the highway, but this might not necessarily fix the safety issue, as there will be even more altitude-sick drivers. Commonwealth Avenue, Philippines. This is a bit of a unique case as far as dangerous roads in the world are concerned. Unlike most of the others, it wasn't built on the side of a cliff or in some rugged, impassable countryside. It's actually right in the middle of Quezon City, well paved with 18 lanes in its wildest parts. Despite all that, the 7.7-mile stretch is a notorious spot for fatal accidents, and it's been christened the Killer Highway. While it doesn't account for the highest number of accidents per year, the recorded deaths tend to be higher compared to the other major highways around the country's capital of Manila. Speed was the major issue here, which prompted the Philippine government to lower the limits, a move that has since reduced the number of casualties. Canning Stock Route, Australia. Like Commonwealth Avenue, Canning Stock Route isn't hanging on the side of a cliff, but underestimating its risks would be a big mistake. For starters, the road is pretty remote, so even planning for an emergency might not necessarily ensure survival in case of a problem. Either way, you might want to do it anyway. The entire 1,150-mile road is basically just barren land consisting of the three deserts, Little Sandy, Great Sandy, and Gibson. Considering that you'll need at least 3 weeks to cover this entire distance, getting stranded in such an unforgiving environment might as well be the end of ya. Atlantic Ocean Road, Norway. Found in the Nordmore district, the Atlantic Ocean Road is a well-known and even revered road in Norway. It's about 5 miles long and has been in operation since 1989, initially as a toll road. By 1999, though, the road was fully paid for, consequently leading to the fee being scraped off. Though considerably short, the Atlantic Ocean Road has quite the sharp turn, twists, and curves that makes a drive here feel like a roller coaster ride, and being close to the Atlantic doesn't help either. Strong gusts of wind and even huge waves routinely bash the road on stormy days, which is not something you want to think about considering just how narrow the bridge actually is. Include the reduced visibility that comes with bad weather, and suddenly you have every reason to stay away from this road. Ironically enough, though, driving here is considered the best road trip in the world, and the road itself is a designated national tourist route. Tizian Test Pass, Morocco. Tizian Test was built between 1926 and 1932, becoming the first actual road between the Souss Valley, specifically Taradon City and Marrakech. It's perched some 6,800 feet up the high Atlas Mountains, which means driving with the prospect of rolling down the mountainside. The lack of barriers doesn't help either, so it's up to the driver to not take the nearly 7,000-foot plunge. This is something the local drivers have either mastered or completely ignored, since they're known to cruise on the road at some troubling speeds. The road is also significantly narrow, far too narrow for these speeds and all the trucks and buses jostling for space with smaller cars. But hey, it does offer spectacular views of the mountain though, so that's something to take your mind off of the imminent danger, if you're not driving, that is. Cats and Fiddle Road, UK. Don't know about you, but personally, I have reservations about using a road nicknamed the Widowmaker. That's how the Cat and Fiddle Road is described, but it doesn't seem to deter people from using it, especially motorcyclists. Can't exactly blame them though. Connecting Cheshire, Macclesfield, Derbyshire, and Buxton, the road passes through one of the most picturesque scenes in Greater Manchester County. But considering the road's name and fatality stats, this beauty comes with a few strings attached. Extremely sharp bends, bad winter weather, and straying livestock have seen the Cat and Fiddle Road be crowned the most dangerous road in the UK. Certainly not a rosy title, which is why the authorities have been working on several initiatives to make it safer. The measures include reducing the speed limit to 50 miles an hour, installing mobile speed cameras, widening the carriageway, and installing high-friction surfacing. Col du Chelsea, France. Sharp bends arguably make a road difficult to navigate, but as long as they're sufficiently spread out, most people will manage just fine. Francis Cole du Chelsea is a special case though. At over 5,000 feet above the ground, the road is already more trouble than it's worth for most people, but a series of sharp bends makes it even riskier. And we're talking about a few turns here and there for the entire road. There's a specific stretch about 2 miles long that features a whopping 17 hairpin turns, and that's about enough to throw you off if you're not careful.
Now it's time for the day's best pick.
Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber just like you, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it on over to us. Might even feature it in a future video. North Yungas Highway, Bolivia. At its peak usage, the Bolivian North Yungas Road was reportedly responsible for 200 to 300 deaths a year, leading to its infamous nickname of Death Road. Thankfully, the numbers today are a mere fraction of this thanks to most of the traffic being diverted to a safer route. The dangers of the highway, though, are pretty much still present as they were over 90 years ago when it was first constructed. One of the most present dangers is its crazy elevation, about 15,300 feet at its highest point and being a mere 11 foot wide without guardrails. Slightest mistake will certainly cost you a lot if you're driving here. And if you're keen enough that you don't slip up and plummet to your inevitable death, there's a good deal of falling objects to watch out for, including tiny waterfalls, rocks, and mudslides. Zojila, India. Just like the North Yungas Highway and a couple of other roads in this video, Zojila was constructed at a considerable elevation, about 11,500 feet in the Himalayas. Obviously, trying to catch a glimpse of what's down there at such a height is not the best of ideas, especially if you're prone to vertigo attacks. The risk of dropping to death, though, is far from being the only thing you'll have to make do with on Zojila. It's unpaved, which makes it even more challenging during cold weather months with all the snow, rains, and gusts of wind. Even if you could magically hold your own against these, chances are high that you might get hit by a landslide as they're pretty common in the area. Thankfully though, the road is usually closed for pretty much the entire cold season as heavy snowfall makes it impassable.
Before we move on, I've got a little...
Tongtian Avenue, China. China's Tenmen Mountain National Park is a popular tourist destination featuring the longest cableway in the world and 999 steep steps up the mountain, glass walkways, and the Tiananmen Cave, the world's highest naturally formed arch. To reach the cave, visitors can take Tongtian Avenue, a 7-mile road known for both its elevation and 99 sharp bends. At 3,800 feet above the ground, dealing with such an insane number of twists and turns doesn't sound like a good idea. See you all next time!